Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Japan and we're going to return to a brewery that's featured on the channel many times before. Now, I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the years, many different styles, and if people were to ask me about this brewery, I would say that they are just very solid all round, one of the really kind of old school names when it comes to Japanese craft beer, and pretty much if you come across their beer, pick a style that you like, and I'm pretty confident that you will be satisfied with the result that you get. Now, the beer we're going to have a look at today is one of their latest releases as of the time of filming, February 2024. It's meant to be very, very nice. It's a style that I have had from this brewery before, one that I know they can do well, but it has got a slightly different twist to it that I don't think I've had from this brewery when I think about it. So yeah, really quite curious to see what this one is going to have in store for us. So hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head to the east of me here in Osaka over to Mie Prefecture. We're going to go to the city of Ise, to be specific, home to the Japanese Shinto religion, and that means that we're going to have a look at yet another beer from the wonderful Ise Kadoya brewery. So this particular beer is called Torikoro. It comes in at 8% ABV, and this is a New England Hazy Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA. Now, this is the first oat cream Hazy Double IPA that I've had from Ise Kadoya, if memory serves me correctly. And oat cream IPAs tend to be really nice, just really kind of thick in the mouthfeel and very, very smooth, and I always enjoy that when it comes to the hazies. So I think this should be very, very nice actually. But this is a beer that I actually picked up at one of Ise Kadoya's locations. I went over to Ise with my parents and Michiko and the little man, and met Jordan from outside or inside Japan, and we had a little wander around Ise and had some beers and things like that, and it was great. So yeah, definitely cool to go and pick up one of Ise Kadoya's beers at source, and we will be going back there at some stage to film an out and about video, so keep your eyes peeled for that. That'll be really fun to do at a later date. But yeah, the Torikoro, an 8% New England Hazy Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, oat cream IPA. This should be quite nice. Let's crack on with it then and see what it has in store for us. So, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Ise Kadoya before, and we will no doubt add more to that list in the near future. I do have a few other bottles to look at from these guys, 2 more IPAs, and then we've got a big Imperial Stout that I might save for a special occasion. It's a big kind of bomber bottle, so I need to think about when we review that one, but you'll see those at some point. But yeah, we will add more Ise Kadoya reviews to the channel in the future. But as I say, check out all the social media links in the video description below. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support you give is massively appreciated, and remember, you can go into the channel homepage and pick out the check out the different playlists of beers from different countries as well. You'll find this one in the Japanese playlist along with many other things, and use the little search bar and you can search for beer based on location. Put in your hometown, state, county, whatever you like. If I review beers from the area you search for, they will pop up, and failing that, you can check out the playlists that I mentioned as well. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you once again about Ise Kadoya Brewing. So, Ise Kadoya, as I've mentioned to you already, is from the city of Ise, Iseshi, in Mie Prefecture, Mie-ken, in the Kansai region of Japan. And this city is dubbed the holy city of the Shinto religion, and it's home to over 200 different Shinto shrines, notably the Ise Grand Shrine, and that is somewhere that I did visit quite recently, and it's quite interesting. It's not quite what you would expect, but the city apparently gets 5 million visitors per year, but it is actually a relatively small town of around 130,000 people. So the Ise Kadoya brewery was founded back in 1997, and it's owned by Narihiro Suzuki, who had previously studied microbiology at Tohoku University. So he runs the company with his wife Chika Suzuki, who does a lot of work in the company's restaurants and things like this, because they do have quite a few locations. And the roots of the Suzuki family family business go back to the year 1575, when the family started the Kadoya Cafe with the aim of selling the Kinakomochi tea to the Ise pilgrims. And Narihiro is the 21st generation of the family to run the company, and these guys are actually one of the longest running companies in Japan and the world, which is pretty cool. But the full company name is Nikken Jayamochi Kadoya Honten, and in the early days, the brewery actually struggled when the Jibiru boom in the late 90s fell flat. Basically the beers that the small breweries in Japan were producing were just not of the same quality as the imports, and they were more expensive as well because of having to import all the ingredients and things. But basically, Narihiro took a gamble and produced Shinto beers as a sort of souvenir, and it was this that kept the brewery side of the business going through difficult times. And it was only in 2010 that the Ise Kadoya beers started to perform better than the Shinto souvenir beers. But the head brewer, or master brewer I think it is these days at Ise Kadoya, is Masakazu Nakanishi. He joined the company in 1997, having worked an office job, but he studied fermentation in high school during his agriculture classes, and the brewery were apparently looking for a brewer when his work contract finished. So the timing worked, and it was just a perfect fit, and it was a matter of circumstance. But he later became the brewmaster in 1999. And another instrumental man in this brewery is Yoshihiro Matsuoka, who is the restaurant manager and also the label designer as well. And he's known as the walking beer dictionary because his knowledge of beer, German, Belgian and American craft is just kind of ridiculous. But the brewery import various hops and malts from across the world. They use local water from the Megawa River, which is filtered through charcoal microfilters before going into the brew, and they're apparently very, very thorough in their quality control, and they've won many awards for their beers to date. These guys are potentially the most decorated craft brewery in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. But the brewery have got a number of restaurants, notably the Biyagura, which is the on-site restaurant, and they've also got the Ise Kadoya Kaikumaiten as well, which you can go and check out. They've got a core range of beers these days, which is getting canned and put in various supermarkets across Japan. They've got various seasonal beers that come out every year. They produce some cider, soy sauce, tamari, miso paste, and the kinakomochi tea as well. So quite an interesting company, these guys, to say the least. But in 2018 they opened up their new brewery, which has given them the capacity to brew 650,000 litres of beer per year, and more recently they've created this core range and started canning their beers, and these are available across Japan in various supermarkets such as the Aeon supermarkets and stuff like this. But as of February 2024, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 490 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and they'll probably hit the 500 mark very, very soon. And like I said, they do a whole array of different styles. I've had barley wines from these guys, imperial stouts, you name it, these guys have done it. I think one of the really interesting ones I had from them at one stage was a wheat wine, and you don't find those all that often these days. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Ise Kadoya Brewery for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a wee bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on and have a little look at the beer itself. So like I mentioned to you, this one comes in at 8% ABV. It's a New England Hazy, Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA, and this one's hopped with Mosaic, Racal and Strata. We know all of these hops quite well. Mosaic is American, 14% alpha acid, and it's going to give you some of the really nice kind of tangerine orangey flavors. Racal is a New Zealand hop, I think about 8% alpha acid, and it gives you this big kind of mango and apricot-y flavor. It's quite susceptible to mildew, that hop, if I remember correctly, so hard to get good yields of it. And then we've got Strata in there as well, which is an American hop, which gives you this kind of gooseberry but also a kind of juicy sort of strawberry flavor as well. So it should be quite an interesting flavor profile that we get from this one. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open up. There you can see the Ise Kadoya symbol. Torikoro apparently doesn't mean anything particular. I asked Michiko about this, but she said, yeah, she doesn't the word doesn't really mean anything particular, but tori, of course, is the Japanese word for bird, so obviously something to do with birds. But yeah, there you can see the Ise Kadoya bottle cap on this one, which looks very, very nice. So we'll get this guy out into the glass and see what it's all about. Quite curious about this for sure, because obviously the very well known New England Hazy from these guys is the Neko Nihiki, and they're always producing that one. They're producing that fairly regularly. So yeah. Any sediment left on the bottle? A little bit of sediment at the bottom. Maybe I've had the fridge on just a little bit too low temperature or something like that. But yeah, anyway, as you can see, this one's poured pretty much as you would expect from any sort of New England hazy IPA, but the oat cream ones always tend to be a bit lighter in their colour, of course. But you can see before the head disappears, this one's poured with about a half finger of I would say, I wouldn't call it too foamy. The bubbles on this, the head on this one are a little bit bigger, but you can see some bigger bubbles sitting on the surface of the liquid there, a few lighter ones just as you go further up the head, and that kind of thin foamy there that you've got is just kind of fading away on the surface of the beer. So quite interesting, this one. You can see the head of it there, it looks pretty nice. But yeah, colour wise, this is certainly quite a pale New England hazy for sure, and that's probably due to the presence of the oat cream. But remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use, that goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or any adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. But yeah, when it comes to IPAs, you don't often have to care about that, to be honest with you. Yeah, but the level of haze in these beers depends on the oat content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use, and that can vary from brewery to brewery and beer to beer. But as I say, this is one of the kind of soupier, and it's one of the more soupy and gloopy IPAs so that I've seen. So yeah, that's probably down to the presence of the oat cream, but certainly lighter in its colour as well. I would describe it as being a more kind of like mango, pineapple juice type colour, something like that, but it looks lovely. I have to say, it does look very, very nice. Yeah, this does look good actually. So let's have a little look at the aroma of this one. I think we've said everything we really can about the appearance. The only other thing I would add is that there's not really much in the way of visible carbonation, just one or two things on the side. So yeah, looks very good. Let's have a look at the nose then and the aroma and see what we get out of this. I'm very, very curious about this beer. Oh yeah, straight away you can smell this is a very soft, juicy, grassy, and yeah, oaty, creamy New England IPA. And when they're calling it an oat cream IPA, I feel I'm stating the obvious with that. Yeah, aroma wise, this is very, very nice. Now, as I've said on the channel many a time, New England IPAs can lean. They can lean a few ways. So they can be, well, the 6 elements you have to care about. You've got the kind of yeasty, farmhousey character. You've got the rye leaning, grainy side of things as well. But then you've got the wheaty bitiness, the oaty creaminess, the barley malt bread, and also the kind of sweeter side of things too. The yeastiness and the kind of rye leaning, grainy side of things is a bit more common in American brewed New England IPAs, whereas the ones that from other countries tend to be more wheaty leaning or more oaty leaning, sometimes a little bit sweeter. And this one, because of the oat cream, is obviously quite creamy, quite soft, and quite juicy. But let's try and break that aroma down for you a wee bit more and just describe it more kind of in depth, if you like. So yeah, the backbone of the beer the backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely little bit of a, the backbone of the beer, you've got some fresh kind of white bready character coming out of this one. So yeah, fresh white bready character. You've got a nice little bit of a kind of woody note in there. So yeah, fresh white bready character, a little bit of a woody note as well. And you do get a little element of cracker out of this, but really not too much. And I think it is just the kind of sheer dominance of the oat cream that's doing that, to be honest with you. So yeah, fresh white bready bread crust, a little bit of wood, a little bit of kind of oat, kind of cracker in there as well. And then you've got this big sort of wet white bready note. Maybe a little touch of a sweeter brown bread as well, but yeah, lots of white bread, a little bit of a sweeter brown bread, and then of course it's all about that really thick, gloopy, like porridgey oat that's coming out of this one. It smells really nice actually, but on top of that you're getting a little bit of sweetness, and when it's an 8% New England double IPA, you are going to get a little bit of a kind of sweetness out of it. So I'm getting little elements of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity character. I'm also getting a wee bit of yeah, I'm also getting like, yeah, I'm also getting sort of I would say, yeah, Werther's Original Butter Candy Butterscotch. I'm getting all of this kind of thing coming out of the aroma as well. So yeah, it's got a really interesting malty backbone to it, this beer. But yeah, I think one of the reasons I enjoy the oat cream IPAs so much is just that they feel that little bit thicker in the malt base, and you know, having grown up with the Scotch ales and then gotten into doppelbocks and barley wines and stuff later, quadruples as well, I've got a little bit more of a kind of sweet tooth, to be honest with you. So that's probably one of the reasons why I enjoy a good oat cream IPA. But I think we've said everything we need about the malty and kind of yeasty side of this beer. Let's have a wee focus on the hoppy side of things. So yeah, hoppy side of this beer is pretty damn nice. For me, the green component is quite nice and bright. Now, as I've explained on the channel before, when it comes to IPAs, you have three types of hoppings. You've got early edition hopping, which takes place within the first hour of the wort boil. That tends to give you mainly bitterness and a deeper, danker aroma. You've got late edition hopping, which takes place in the last half hour of the wort boil. That gives you mainly flavour and aroma, but a little bit of bitterness, and it'll give you quite a bright green component in terms of aroma. Then you've got dry hopping, which takes place after the wort boil is complete. And yeah, that tends to give you a sort of yeah, pretty much just very, very soft green component, very kind of wet. And you can feel that, like New England IPAs tend to rely on late edition and dry hopping, whereas West Coast IPAs use all three. But you can smell that like soft floral character, lovely kind of wet grassiness as well. Maybe a very slight earthiness too, which is going to come from the mosaic rather than anything else. So yeah, a little bit of earthiness, a little touch of herbal character, nice bright floral aromaticity, some kind of zesty grassy notes as well. But yeah, the way everything goes together in this beer is really, really quite nice. So it gets a big thumbs up from me. On the fruity side of things then, it's really, yeah, the fruity side of things is it's really nice too. So for me, I would say I do get a lot of like mango out of this one, and that's the Racal that's going to give you that. So yeah, big juicy mango. I can certainly smell the kind of softer apricot as well. Yeah, I think the Racal is potentially the most prominent hop in the aroma, but I think the Strata is quite pungent too, particularly the more that you smell of it. So, yeah, so I would say lots of mango, lots of apricot in this one. Yeah, lots of mango, lots of apricot, and I would say, yeah, lots of mango, lots of apricot, and I would also say maybe a little touch of like papaya or something as well. But I can certainly get some of that nice juicy tangerine orange from the mosaic, and then there's also, yeah, there's also that kind of strawberry and slightly gooseberry note from the Strata as well. But yeah, very, very, pardon me, juicy strawberry at the front of the nose. But overall, aroma-wise, a very, very nice smelling IPA. So as I always say, take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in, but I think it is about time that we try this one now and see what it's all about. So yeah, this is the Torikoro, an 8% New England Hazy, Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, oat cream IPA from the wonderful Ise Kadoya in Ise City, Mie Prefecture here in Japan. Slanje, skål, cheers, kampai. Ooh. That's pretty damn solid actually. Yeah, that is good. It gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, this is really damn good actually. First impression, it has that typical Japanese cleanliness to it. Lovely and smooth. The mouthfeel of this is great. So it's got a kind of beautiful creaminess to it, which I really do enjoy. So yeah, lovely creaminess, very smooth, juicy fruits, and just that little bit of kind of green quality that you want from a New England IPA as well, that gives it the freshness. But another very, very solid beer from Ise Kadoya. Not surprised, because I know what these guys are capable of, but this is pretty damn good. So a big thumbs up to them for that. Yeah, let's break this down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So yeah, let's start in the middle third of the palate then. The backbone of the beer, you've got that lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust coming out of this one. The further forward that you go, you do get a little bit of woodiness in the base, and then you can feel there's a layer of cracker just sitting on top of that. And I think the cracker does kind of rise to prominence a little bit the further into the aftertaste that you go. So yeah, there's a wee bit more cracker coming out of this the further you go with it. Yeah, this is really nice though. Above the sort of crackery layer, you get a sort of almost sweet, like brown bready like. I'm hesitant to describe it as brown bready, but you get this slightly more grainy but quite sweet brown bready character coming out of the beer. Then above that, you start to get the white bread, which I think is great. Yeah, more dense, smooth, and slightly sweet white bread, and then yeah, I think there is a bit of wheat in this beer as well. I will say that, because you can feel this more dense and slightly bitey and dry white bready character sitting above the more fluffy barley malt note. But then everything else above that is all about the oat cream, and you can just feel it's so dense and so smooth. I always find oat cream quite interesting, because normally when you talk about New England IPAs, you can say that the oats are an indicator of how old or how fresh your beer is, but it's a little bit harder to tell with oat cream, because oat cream is it gives you a little bit more dryness, I think, and you can get that in this beer. So above that kind of slightly more dry and bitey wheaty bready layer, you can feel the thickness and the dense kind of oat cream coming out of this one as well. So yeah, I do really like how this how that pieces together in this one. But yeah, in the dead centre of that middle third of your palate, you can feel there's a little bit of that sweeter Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing coming out of the beer as you move toward the outside. Pardon me. As you move toward the extremities of that middle third of your palate, you get a little bit more of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing coming out of this one, which is nice as well. And yeah, Yeah, so yeah, a little bit of Werther's Original Butter Candy Butterscotch in the middle of your tongue. As you move further out, it becomes a little bit sweeter and a wee bit more fudgy, and then yeah, the McVitie's Digestive Biscuit as you reach the extremities of that middle third of your palate, and that all sits on top of the kind of creamy, oaty layer of the beer. So yeah, I do like how all that pieces together. It's a lovely IPA, this one, from the malty side of things. So let's go to the back third of the palate then. And as I often say, the back third of your palate will give you very similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, just a little bit drier and stuff like that too. So the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you've got a little bit of a kind of brown bready character in the base, the white bread on top, and maybe just a little bit of the wheatiness sitting there at the very tip of it. But then yeah, the base of that back third of your palate, you've got the lovely kind of dry white bready bread crust in there. Then you get a wee bit of the kind of, you can feel the cracker as well, which is a little bit drier too. Then you've got that kind of lighter and more airy brown bready character in there. And then above that, you've got the kind of white bready character as well, which I think is really, really nice. So for me, you can feel that those layers are just a little bit lighter and more airy, and you can feel some of the wheaty character just creeping over the top of that, and you've got a wee bit more of a kind of wheaty bitiness coming out of this one too, which is quite interesting. So you've got that little bit of wheaty bitiness in there. Yeah, wheaty bitiness, and you have above that you've got the kind of yeasty side of the beer. So the yeastiness that's in there, you've got this really dense and slightly sweeter white bready note in there. So yeah, dense yeasty white bready character in there. Then around that you can feel there's a little bit of a sweeter brown bread, and then just a wee bit more of a kind of bread crusty character, and all of that sits above the kind of back third of your palate. So definitely you can feel the back third of your palate, the flavour is taller. Then as you come further forward into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together a little bit more. But yeah, in terms of the hoppy side of the beer, then I think we've said everything we need about the malty and yeasty side of the beer. In the back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, there's a little touch of herbal character, and as you push toward the kind of front corners of your tongue, you can feel that you've got a little bit of kind of deep dank character in there, and it's a little bit more sort of floral and aromatic and kind of spicy. But round the front curve of the tongue, the beer is just a little bit lighter and more and grassy for sure. So yeah, a little bit of a zesty grassiness in there. And I think this one was all pellets. I don't think there was any cryo or anything in this. So yeah, it makes a sense that this one just feels that little bit more kind of bitter and things. So yeah, interesting. The Mosaic is the one that's going to give you that wee touch of earthiness, as I said. But yeah, I think we can talk about the front third of your palate now as well, on the fruity side of the beer. So the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you get a little bit of the brown bread in the base, the white bread in the middle, then the wee bit of kind of wheaty bitiness on top. Then the base of that, the base of that front third of your palate, you've got the white bready bread crust, the white bread, and then the little bit of the more kind of dense wheat. And then you can feel that nice oily bubble sitting on top where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. Oh! Alright guys, sorry for the edit there. The people to deliver our couch showed up a little bit early and they got it built in 10 minutes. So yeah, Japanese efficiency. But one of the more random reasons that I've had to pause recording a video. But yeah, we were talking about the fruity side of this beer. So yeah, that kind of oily bubble on the front third of your palate then. So let's focus on that. Yeah, so at the back of that front third of your tongue then, there's definitely a slightly more kind of pungent flavour, like a little bit of a kind of peachy note, or a little touch of grapefruit or something like that. And I think that's most likely to come from the Rakal. but as you move further forward from that, it very quickly mellows out to be more sort of mango-like, and as you reach the very front of your, as you reach the middle of that front third of your palate, you're definitely getting the more juicy side of the mango and that very, very soft apricot-y type quality as well, which I do really quite enjoy. And as you move into the front half of the front third of your palate, the mosaic and the strata are really starting to show their kind of qualities as well. So for me, you get a sort of like, in that front half of the front third of your palate, you get a sort of kind of soft gooseberry note underneath. So yeah, soft gooseberry under there. You've got a little bit of soft gooseberry. Then you can feel like a kind of juicy but not too pungent tangerine note sitting on top. And as you go to the very front kind of tip of your tongue, you can feel the soft strawberry that you'd usually associate with strata. So yeah, that front half of the front third of your tongue is like, yeah, gooseberry underneath, a little bit of a tangerine orange from the mosaic sitting on top of it, and then you've got that soft strawberry from the you've got the soft strawberry from the strata as well. So it's a really nice balance of fruit, this one actually. This is a really, really nicely done New England double IPA, this actually, and you can feel that when you try Neko Nihiki, it's quite it's kind of a little bit more raw. This feels a little bit more refined, if you like. So it's quite interesting to try a New England IPA that's been made a few years on from Neko Nihiki, and you can see the Ise Kadoya are getting better and better at this style, but I think this one is a bit better than Neko Nihiki, which is quite a big statement because that's one of the kind of classic New England doubles that you'll find here in Japan. So yeah, big thumbs up to Ise Kadoya for this. This is a lovely, lovely New England IPA. And the oaty creaminess as well, the thickness, the softness, the kind of, and I think you get a wee bit more bitterness and stuff out of it the further into the aftertaste that you go. But I think on that note, we should move on and talk about the mouthfeel to round off this review. So yeah, for me, the mouthfeel of this one, I'd say that it's top end of mid-bodied, bottom end of full-bodied. The carbonation is very, very smooth. And this beer's really interesting because you do have that element of creaminess in there, which you expect of an oat cream IPA. So yeah, good element of creaminess in there. But at the same time, you also have that element of cleanliness. I've often spoken about how clean the Japanese beers are because of the quality of the water and things like that, and Ise does have very good water as well. So you can feel that element of cleanliness in there, and you know, you've got the Japanese drinkability, as I call it. In terms of the IBUs of this beer, I think this is maybe about 50 IBUs. It is a double IPA, so you put a bit more hop in there and just balance the kind of big malty character out with the bitterness a little bit more. But yeah, I think about 40 or 50 IBUs is an appropriate guess for this one. The malt base has a bit of dryness underneath, a bit of smoothness in the middle, and a bit of sweetness on the top, and that little bit of creaminess too. Then you've got a lovely kind of fruity character coming out of this one as well. So there's a little bit of, you've got a bit of tropical fruit in there, you've got a wee bit more kind of oiliness from the kind of gooseberry and orangey flavours, then that soft juicy strawberry too. I think this goes together really, really nicely, so it's a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, the Torikoro from Ise Kadoya Brewing, really, really nice New England IPA, this one. I'd go as far as saying it's a little bit better than Neko Nihiki, and that's a big statement to make. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what else Ise Kadoya are going to do in this style bracket going forward. I feel that I want to try an old school West Coast double from them at some stage too, so we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. But yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about this one. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Ise Kadoya as well. And we will see about reviewing more beers from these guys as time goes on. I've got 2 more IPAs to review, which I'll probably do for you quite soon. And then we've got that very special beer, which you'll see at a later date. But yeah, thank you for watching. Check out my social media, check out Ise Kadoya's social media, and if you're a fan of Neko Nihiki, I think you'll find this one to be even better than that. So try it out and see what you think. Till the next time, Slàinte, Skål, cheers, Kampai, and I'll catch you guys again shortly. Ciao just now.